Are you ready to get into games?
Let's talk games.
Get into games. Today we're talking about Slay the Spire, the video game. I have the board game in the background, unopened, because we haven't played it yet.
Why not? Why haven't
Because we
played
have
it yet?
Gloomhaven under the table, and I think, are we just waiting to finish that? I'm down to play it at any time.
I think for the most part, I guess that is true. We are kind of spread thin on the board game table.
Yeah, we'd have to
already
move a lot of stuff around.
Yeah,
we could always play above the table, but that feels
whack.
That feels gross.
Yeah,
So.
why would we get this table if we're gonna play on top of it?
Again, what we need is a second board game table for casual. Though Slay the Spire, I don't think is a casual game. I'm not sure. I can't see how long to play from here. I'll try to Google it.
I think I see 60 minutes.
So for us, it's going to be like 3 hours.
12 and up. Yeah. It's not. It shouldn't be
A quick 3 hour romp.
too bad, but it'll probably. Well, hopefully now that we're both getting a little bit more familiar with what is Slay the Spire.
Sorry, the cat just ran away.
Maybe it'll be a little bit quicker, a little easier to get into whenever we do boot it. This would be one of the first, I think, like tabletop games that we'd come in with like external knowledge about.
Yeah, which is fun. So
Yeah. That should be
people,
cool.
I heard it's the I can't remember for a fact that Kado's played this from Remap, but I think they maybe did and said it's like just as good.
Okay.
But I worry that I'm hallucinating that opinion and that they never said that.
You're just making that
But
up.
definitely someone told me that. I want to say it was Kato, but I don't know for sure. Because like a lot of board gamers,
Lying.
Kato also has the plague of like games that you don't play, which if you play board games, like you have plenty of things that you haven't really played. Anyway. But yeah, Slay the Spire, the video game. I started this on my Nintendo Switch 2 because we were experimenting with the game share function.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at your library to see, like, is there anything that you could share with me that I didn't already have? And Slay the Spire was one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
But funnily enough, when you sent it to me, like, so explain how game share works.
Game share is Nintendo's solution to digitally sharing your library with your family members, your friends and families, or close circle, whoever. There's a couple rules to it, which I think are, I guess technically I have to say they're better than no rules at all. Like it's better than it not being a function at all that you can do, but it is like in classic Nintendo fashion, it is the worst way to do something that otherwise could have been just really cool. One, you, I believe, have to be in a Nintendo Switch Online family together. Because when I go to like choose who I'm sharing to, the option is like choose from your Nintendo Switch Online family. Now maybe I'm just misremembering or misread it, and it actually is like, oh no, you could just enter a friend code or something like that. Totally possible, but I am under the impression currently. Geez, Bruce, you're really getting in there. I am under the impression currently that it needs to be your Nintendo Switch Online family member. You do that, then you have to have. I was also under the assumption that the first time you do this, you need to bring the switches together for them to like communicate under the hood. Tech wise, it's probably like sharing some like public-private key kind of handshake scenario set off. Cool, makes sense. I get that. That's fine. The first time that I'm sharing to somebody. You want to make sure you're not getting scammed as well. It's like you're, in person, we're going to share this. It'd be great if you didn't need to be in person like every other platform. But hey, for Nintendo, you need to be in person. Then you give them the card. They will virtually download it to their system. It's virtually removed from your system. And you're good to go. You get it for like up to 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, if you don't manually sort of pull the card back to your system, it'll auto sort of expire on the remote switch.
It looks like it might be separate from the family thing, just to be.
Well, I'm not saying you need the family plan to, like, I'm not saying you need a paid family plan to do it. Maybe it's just the way you choose who you're switching, like who you're giving to. Then.
I'm looking at it now, though. In your defense, it's not very clear. So which is also why I asked. Yeah, I don't think I'm looking at the like Nintendo's official like game share explainer. It does not mention anyone needing to you need to be in a family.
Okay, cool.
But I guess what have your feelings been with? And then I think I game shared something with you at one point.
Yeah, Hades. I think you.
Yeah. So how have you felt about this process?
I mean, again, it's better than like literally nothing, which is what the Switch 1 had. as far as like digitally sharing your games. But of all the like of Xbox, of PlayStation, of even just Steam, it's just like the worst implementation of this, where it's like every time you share, and again, this is just from our experience here. I shared this with you, some weeks ago originally, and then it expired.
And I didn't play it, yeah.
And then I went to go share it with you again, and I had to like bring our Switches together, presumably to do this like handshake thing. And I'm like, well, why? I already shared with you. You're like, are you not in just like the history of people I shared with before? Can I not just infinitely share games with you as I like see fit now, kind of thing? And it's like, no, you can't. So I don't know. I guess somehow Nintendo still makes it better to be a physical buyer if you're like someone who's like really into sharing games, because you can also, I think, only share one game per person,
which I think is
time,
like,
which is insane.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense. I think that's
like, not only are they time limited, but there's a cap as well. I can only, like, if I'm sharing Slay the Spire with you, I cannot share Mario Maker 2 or anything else with you. I have to take back Slay the Spire and then presumably get our Switches together again and then give you a second game after that, kind of thing. So yeah, man. I also don't know.
Do see some things mentioning the family thing, so it is unclear on if we can. This is, we're in a family, we can't really test that very easily.
Yeah.
I'll
leave. Don't worry.
I think it. No, you have to stay because why else am I paying for it? Yeah, I really don't like it very much, if I'm being honest. Again, it is better than what we had before, which was nothing. I know there are some workarounds for sharing libraries, but they tend to be, I think, more like parent-child. Or like easier to implement if it's like a parent-child. Like we're all playing on the same Switch, but like, because it's like, oh, well, I could log into both and have like, but then I'd be making, Isaiah Switch my like secondary, and then it would just be messy. Versus, I think the best one in my experience has been PS5. Though I imagine Xbox has like a similar
I think
setup.
Xbox, at least like as far as what
I just don't think we've
experienced,
used it like as much, so we haven't where it's just like, hey, and again, it's still only just between like the two people and works best like when you're in the same household. But I think this is like I think this had the opportunity to be arguably like one of the best systems for sharing games, even if it was just limited to family. And I think it really fumbled off two things alone. Number one, the 14-day like return policy, which is like very like, I feel like they're trying to replicate game rentals more than replicating game sharing, and I think that's a mistake. And then also the need to be over local, where it's like, especially for like in the context of the family plan, because I have family members that like don't live with me that are on that plan, and it's like, and I think that won't be that wild of a thing to happen. Or even it's just like from a practical standpoint, okay, your kid's at like their friend's house and they want to like borrow a game from you. It's like, well, you can only do that over local, I think is very limiting. So
it's like just bad enough. And I have to imagine that someone somewhere in like an office building came up with this idea of it's just bad enough to kind of incentivize you to just buy a game.
Genuinely,
twice.
I am looking at like what I'm just gonna buy Slay the Spire, I think, because the other thing too, and we'll see if I want to make like some content on this like standalone, like maybe it'll be a TikTok, maybe it'll be an article, but I'll have to see how I want to word it, because I am jokey and I don't want people to take my jokes too seriously, because I don't literally mean it this way. But the virtual game share, it makes me feel broke. I feel like I felt broke going to you and being like, Isaiah, can you reshare Slay the Spire? And then no, I only have it for like the 14 days. And then I'm also like a little nervous about like the smoothness of my saves. Also, God forbid I'm in the middle of a run when the time expires. Yeah. So I just feel like I'm just going to buy it because it's, and it just genuinely like, I hate how, again, if I give you a cartridge, you just have the cartridge. Like, I don't even necessarily mind. I believe they have it implemented where, well, actually, I'm confused on this. Can you play at the same, like, could you play Slay the Spire right now?
No, you have it. Like, you have my digital
that's
copy.
Also stupid, because it's like the point of it being digital is that, like, I don't have it, though.
Yeah.
Like, because at least with physical, it's like, well, I can't play Tears of the Kingdom because I gave it to you or something. But again, if I give it to you, and I understand maybe them worried about, like, what if somebody doesn't give you back your game? But they should just make it so that the owner can pull it at any time they want, not like a auto return. Like, why? Not to mention, too, 2 weeks is
nothing.
Really small for a game. Like, I mean, there's a reason that and again, I think they could have done this too, and it would have made more sense for like a library system, like a physical like book library system, where at our library, and I think a lot of them, you take out a book and it's like, I think it is defaulted to 2 weeks, but it might be even more, and they auto renew like for all the books. The only time they don't auto renew is if someone has that book on hold, and then they'll be like, hey, someone else is waiting for it. Bring it back. Again, there's no late fees anymore, at least in I think all of California, if I'm remembering that correctly, or at least like the LAPL district. But they do have there's no auto renew on new books. So if you take out a new book, it's like, hey, that's 2 weeks. You gotta bring that book back because this book is hot in the streets. I could live with them doing something like that, trying to like, Donkey Kong, like you don't have it for 2 weeks before it, just to try to really incentivize you like buying it, I guess. But yeah, I don't like it. I'm just gonna buy Slay the Spire because I don't want to
that's
live
fair.
with it. And then I'm also kind of like a little scared how that process is gonna work. Is it gonna be weird about? It should be the same save data, so I imagine it's fine.
It'll be fine.
But honestly,
again, I think this is their point.
Literally, the next time I die or beat the game, I'm just gonna buy the game because. Though I should look. Do they have a physical copy of? Probably only at like the bougie.
I think so, actually.
Like. Is it a regular physical
like
copy though, or is
it?
That's the thing. If it's like, the whole thing is it's limited. So I'll look into that. It looks like a physical copy generally exists, but it's also funny because you just type in Slay the Spire physical, and now the board game comes up, which is funny. Physical video game. Anyway, so I'll look into that. Then I could actually share it with people, and it wouldn't be wild. But anyway, let's get into the game itself, but I did want to talk a little bit about how I'm playing it. And then another reason I got this was because I'm like, I need some juice on the Switch too right now. We're at the time of recording, we're only like a couple days, like maybe like low 10 days or something away from Donkey Kong. So that's cool, but like Donkey Kong ain't today. And what am I like... How can I start to enjoy this console a little bit more? How else can I enjoy it by playing one of the lowest resolution games I've seen in modern indie game history, Slay the Spire? What is your history with Slay the Spire?
I played Slay the Spire.
This is a you game.
This is very much.
This is a you episode, actually.
Unintentional. I think I discovered Slay the Spire probably soon after it came out. I got it originally on Switch, but eventually got it on mobile, eventually got it on Steam. I wanted to just be able to play the game kind of wherever. I certainly did not, 100% the game and beat it with like all the characters and everything like that and do all sorts of crazy runs and everything like that. But like I put dozens and dozens and dozens of hours into this game. And now, again, enough to justify buying it on multiple platforms. It's to me, it's a like, I'm not gonna say perfect strategy game, but it is like a very, very, very good creme de la creme, like strategy roguelike where you're deck builder. It's you're building a deck. Different characters have kind of different mechanics that all kind of like play a little bit off of each other. Like you can, mix and match some cards in some ways and stuff like that. And like, the whole idea is that you're trying to make your way from the bottom of a map to the top of a map, going along like these kind of like dotted lines with events along the way. The events can be sort of like minion battles, elite battles, which are like just, stronger one-off enemies or recurring enemies, but like usually one at a time. Shops, traps, stores, rest points, and then ultimately you end up at a boss, kind of boss fight at the top of the map. And it's about being strategic in which route you try to take up the map and what you do at the stops, what cards you might upgrade along the way or lose along the way, or how you adjust your deck and what relics you might pick up that kind of have these like longer campaign-y kind of effects on your run and everything like that. Fantastic game. I love this game, and I'm very excited for Slay the Spire 2 whenever that comes out.
I'd been avoiding this game when did this game come out?
Let's see. That is a really good question.
I feel like this is like a 2019 or earlier joint. Maybe I'm dating it too late. But
the Spire.
As you look that up, I've been avoiding this game since it came out because deckbuilder roguelike, no thanks.
2017.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay. And then as time has gone on, it's become more of a pillar of like, if you want a roguelike deck builder, this is the core of the genre, like in the modern sense at least. So then to me, it's always signaled as if you want to find the root of most of your modern disinterest, it's this video game. So I'm like, no thanks. But I do know it's a really good game. And I have and kind of am continually looking to branch out into genres that I don't play as much. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. The other reason I didn't go for it is that everyone I know that likes this game is a brainy freak. I don't know a regular person that plays Slay the Spire. If you're normal and you're playing Slay the Spire, speak now. I'm sure there are regular people playing it because it's that popular of a game that like surely like regular people play this game and enjoy it. But again, it's kind of like I don't know, maybe self-fulfilling prophecy. Like a lot of the people I know that play it, like they're like big card game, big strat. You know, they're in the pocket of big brain. And I was like...
in the pocket of big brain.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. Then I started playing it. This game is like actually like very clear and simple and chill in a way that I was not expecting it to be. Some light asterisk to that. We'll get into my me fighting the game, me saying the game is keeping secrets from me in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it feels like any other game where you're doing attacks. Like it feels like just a turn-based video game, which like, you know, the difference between an attack and a card is that the card has more art than a selected attack is really the only difference. Pokemon the video game could be a card game if they just put the cards, but they don't. So it's like, no, this is an RPG. It's not a deck builder, but it would be a deck builder, I think, if you know, adapt. Which is interesting that that it was adapted to not be a card game. I think that's kind of interesting, like the video game, because the video game is after the card game. Yeah, I'm not like messing that up.
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's not a card game. They made it into a regular game. So if they had made Slay the Spire a regular game, we'd be having this conversation on a yacht. But yeah, other things that stuck out to me playing it, besides the fact that, wow, this is actually a really simple game. Don't let the big brain people don't want you to know that Slay the Spire is easy and regular. Though I wonder if as I get up the little tower, if it's going to start to be like, well, if you didn't build this wild hand of strats, you're going to get your ass whooped. That is my fear. And based on your face, I'm wondering that I think that fear is true.
I don't think so. I think it's fair to say that like it does get tougher, but it gets tougher in the way that like kind of like a Balatro, right? Like you love Balatro.
I can't finish Balatro though. But
my thing is like there are for sure strategies and strats that kind of like present themselves as you're progressing through the blinds and everything. And it's like, well, if you like, you know, there is some responsibility on you to like see those and lean into them when you can and things like that.
I'm hearing that I'm not going to beat this game.
But the game is not like you playing the game, you beating one of the first bosses is like you've experienced everything the game has to offer. It's just going to be more of that.
Yeah, I do feel like this game is easier than Balatro by like a good amount. I think because, but like, and we'll see. I think as I play more of it and as if I hopefully beat it, I'll be able to have a more definitive claim to this. But the thing with Balatro, even though Balatro is kind of in a way more fun than Slay the Spire, because Balatro has like better vibes, like the art is nicer. The art in Slay the Spire is really ugly. I was surprised by how ugly it was.
It's so weird that you say it's ugly. I think it's
I think it doesn't look very good.
Character. What do you mean it's ugly? It's not ugly. It's
when I told you the art's kind of ugly, you said that's part of its charm. That is what you said to me on the sofa.
The art style is a part of its charm. You called it ugly. I called it charm.
But it just is very like flat and kind of undetailed, which again, ugly is a little dramatic, but that was my first genuine response. Like, of course, being a little bit more contextualizing it against the many other games that exist. This is fine. It's serviceable, but it does look like worse than a lot of these other like card games. I see even something like Wild Frost looks 1,000,000 times nicer than this game. And Wild Frost looks kind of like, I mean, it looks fine. I wouldn't say that it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't look at Wild Frost and think, wow, this art is stunning. I just think, oh yeah, it looks nice. It's cute.
Sure.
But yeah, it's very like simplified.
I wonder, is that just
dry.
like the quality of it, or is it the actual like art style that they go for? You know what I mean? Because like one is very much a more painted, not like oil painting, but like painted kind of aesthetic to it.
Like Wild Frost, you mean?
Huh?
Like Wild Frost or
Slay the Spire is more of like a painted like painted characters that they're like animating the sprites of. It's like no one really has like animation frames. You know what I mean? Everything's like pretty static, and then they're just like moving and blooping things around the screen to give motion and life to characters. Whereas something like Wild Frost or you know whatever is like probably has more like idle animation and like actual frames that like characters are like moving through, you know, they're animating through and everything. So which man, I gotta play more Wild Frost.
Yeah, I played like a little bit of it on like a PAX or something.
Yeah, games.
Yeah,
good.
it's just it surprises me. It surprised me a little bit how like I've seen it before, but like I've never really looked at it. Like I know what it looks like, but I never really like actually got a good look at it. And then playing it, I'm like, oh wow, this is she a little flat, she a little dry. It's a little stiff. It's a little like early drafts. Like it feels like the game you see, and then they said, and then this is what the final product is, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. But this feels like earlier than that, which was just surprising to me. As someone that hadn't really played it before.
I think they're doing a little bit more with Slay the Spire 2, so I feel like maybe that it is still very much like the same aesthetic, the same, you know, the art director who did one is like clearly still doing the other, but it seems like they're being a little bit more high fidelity with like the images and animations and things like that. Yeah,
like there's something about it that just it feels a little lifeless, and not even just the animation work, but something about like something about it, because I've seen simple stuff before, and I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's very specific in a way that I wasn't expecting. And my other surprise was that there's little like fun little adventure story bits in the middle. And again, they're not like narrative through line bits. Like I don't think at one point they're gonna be like, and the Spire was the friends you slayed along the way or something. But there's like these moments of almost like D&D, like, oh, you come across like you know, a suspicious dent in the floor. Do you inspect it or not or whatever? And inspecting it tells you what you get, which I think is a little bit like less narratively exciting to like know already. Like you just like, these are your options. Like they kind of like they like obfuscate it with the language of the writing, but then they like tell it to you just like, this means one card, this means whatever, which I get from a deck building perspective is nice to know, but I would find the game more fun if it didn't tell me that, and I just got to like pick a thing and get the consequence after.
That is not something that happens all the time. Like there are moments of it telling you what you get. There are moments of it being randomized and mysterious. Yeah.
I prefer the mystery a little bit more. So far I've only gotten the like, you take a chance, you get one random card, or you don't take a chance, you pick a card, kind of thing. But yeah, those are I think some of my initial impressions of the game. I don't know what has it been like for you've been watching me play this game a lot. I feel like I am physically torturing you by having you watch me play this.
Physical torture, no.
Because I have a rule of you can't tell me what I should be doing.
Yeah, you wanna play the game your own on your by yourself.
Go my own way.
Exactly. Which I think is totally fine and fair. It is how I would want to experience the game myself. I'm torn though because
nothing's fine, I'm torn.
Maybe we can get into a little bit now with the like the game telling you things and the game not telling you things. Is there are moments where you'll come across something and I'll be like, oh well, you could have done this, or like, oh, like did you notice that this was an option? and you'll say like, no, the game didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear. I didn't see that, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know if I should be speaking up for things that I think you're missing versus telling you what I would do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's that you did see this thing and you just chose not to do it, or if you just didn't notice this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you something that the game sort of trial and errors people into.
Yeah. I'm keeping hearing you at a minimum, so I've accepted like two things, like and I'm very early into the game, so I don't find these to be too like mechanically spoilery, but obviously, that'll be listeners' discretion on if they want to know anything about this game at all. One early thing was, I think the very first thing that I didn't know was there's a card. I like did the first run and died, and then I unlocked a new character. The second character is called The Silent.
My favorite character.
And yeah, and I'm like, oh wow, this is your friend, because I remember I've seen you play the game sometimes, so I've seen this guy before. I was like, this is Isaiah's little buddy.
Yeah.
And one of the cards I got during this time, I forget what it does, but in the left corner it tells you like the cost of the card, which is like energy. You start with 3 out of 3 energy. At least the first 2 characters do. Maybe other characters have different builds. And the card requires X amount of energy, X being like kind of any amount, because like you'll do, I think the effect is like decreasing strength, like applying weak or something. And you do like more of that, the higher your energy is. So if I do it at the start of my turn, it's like, 3 out of 3, that's going to be like a bunch. At the end, it's less. But I didn't know that you could do it with 0 energy. Because like, that doesn't make any sense to me, but there are like contexts where like you might have a card where it's like for every card you play, something happens. And then that would be like, sure, you are playing a card that does nothing, but you get the benefit of having played a card.
Yeah.
So like that's a reason to do that. But it says that you need some, like to me, I read that as I need some energy to do this. And it's like, no, you just need, it's like whatever amount you have, even if what you have is nothing. And then Isaiah's like, oh, well, the cards you can play are glowing blue, and when you can't play a card, it's not glowing blue. But when you're playing like on a turn, everything's fucking blue. So I just thought that's like what the art was.
Just the style of
I'm not like thinking about, like, have you noticed this subtle UI change? I'm like, no, because it's like it's so subtle that I don't notice anything. And to me, that's also just not like, for my personal learnings, it's not cute enough for me to have picked up on that, because there's not. If there is an audio cue, it's very subtle. Part of that is also that the OST is loud as all hell. I had to put that thing down because I'm like, I can't hear my own fucking thoughts playing this game. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I need this many block, and I get 5, and then I get 3, and the game's like, I don't even know. Do you know how the OST goes? It is a pretty memorable one, but now I'm blanking on the kind of noise of it.
I can play it in my head, but I can't.
But yeah, like this isn't the OST, but it'll just be like, okay, well, 5 plus 3 minus, and they're like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, okay, like, relax. Can we relax a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm like trying to do math. Yeah, so that's been something. And then like another thing that I didn't get was like there's a card that like you can become burned, and if you become burned, there'll be a card in your hand where at the end of your turn it'll be like, you take like 2 damage or something. And there's a card that lets you like, it'll be like, you can, 5 block, but you have to discard a card or something, or 8 block, you have to discard a card. It's like, you can discard that card, because it's like, well, you can't play it, but you can discard it. And it's like, shut up. Shut up. This is why my community, the dumbs, don't come here, because it's always like, well, it's very much giving like, in the Bible, God says that he'll never, after the flood that destroys everything on the planet, Noah's Ark, he's like, I'll never, he displays a rainbow. It's his covenant to man, promising to never destroy the earth again with water. And it's just like, fuck you. Like, it's like I don't know. Like, I feel like it's giving that a little bit. But in the game's defense, if it was more tutorialized, I think it would make for a more boring game. I do think a lot of games fall victim to like the intense tutorialization. On the other side of that, though, I think a happy medium that I would have liked for like my own personal taste for like learning as a player is a rolling tutorialization. So I but it's tough because like the way they set up the game, it would be hard to do that.
Yeah.
Though I think there are still ways around it. Like I think they could have done something like in that moment when they introduced the burn. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like one of those things where my frustration with something like that is I feel like the people that know that, like you are very much like on it with like playing these kinds of games where you're like, oh, well, yeah, it says that you can't play it, but I can discard it, but I am not going to pick up on that. So I feel like you as someone that picks up on that, you're going to get it no matter what. So I don't feel like it hurts you if you're told that because you would have gotten that anyway, but it does hurt me for not being told that because I don't get that anyway. So I feel like it punishes people that don't get it and doesn't like give anything extra to people that do get it. Or I don't know, as someone that does get that, would you feel less excited if the game told you that? Would you feel like, oh, I want to figure that out on my own?
I guess it's tough because I feel like that is one of the cool things about games like this is like you piecing the pieces together. Like,
yeah, you guys like to feel better than everybody else.
No, it's the freaking Zelda Ultra Hand of like games where it's like, oh, cool. I never thought like it's cool when you come across the thought of putting a rocket on top of fucking Baka Goblin and seeing him shoot off into space or something. But if the game told you to do that as a part of tutorial, that's still cool. It still like gets the gears turning on like, oh, okay, this is kind of how I can use a rocket to do whatever. But it's, I don't know, just the epiphany yourself is always, I think, better than tutorialized epiphanies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm torn. I do think hearing that you like Slay the Spire to me opens
also
up
that's not clear. I do like the game. I know I've been kind of well, the thing is like I will always have like the angry emoji these games a little bit, just because I do think they're a little games like this do tend to, and this is again much easier than I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be like some bullshit, some real like when then actually if you apply your frosted shield, the ice has double damage on when I play my fire card. It's like I'm not gonna do all that. Yeah. This is very simple. It's like hit, block, block with something else, and I think it scales really nicely. But yeah, I mean, it is tough because like the thing that I do struggle with these games is the little like stuff like that where they're like, have you been looking carefully? Because actually, like it feels like some, and I think that's why I don't want to hear from you, because you are like a real life version of that person over your shoulder. I noticed that you didn't actually use your full block thing, but did you know that if you had applied the buff at the start of the game, that means for every block you do, a meter fills invisible behind the thing? It's like, okay, sorry.
I feel personally attacked.
Sorry, I'm not a fucking genius, okay? So, yeah, but you were saying hearing that I like Slay the Spire. That
I think that Monster Train, which is Monster Train 2 actually recently came out. I want to get it. I've been, looking forward to playing it at some point. It's we're now entering that time of year where like if you're not on top of new games, your backlog kind of is starting to build up, at least for me. So that's like on the top of one of the backlog I have. But I think if you like and Slay the Spire, I think you might enjoy Monster Train.
I'm gonna stick with my Spire for a while.
Yeah, that's fair.
At least
totally
until
fair.
I beat it, and then we'll look. Another game I want to go back to is Inscription, because I couldn't play that. Yeah. And by couldn't play that, I mean I literally I tried playing it. I enjoyed playing it. I could not progress, and I think that's one of my struggles with these games. And we'll see what happens with Slay the Spire. It'll get the full dumb stamp of approval if I can beat this game, because one of my beasts with these games is it does feel like to be able to play it, like kind of anyone can, but to be able to beat it, you really have to like be actually good. And like it feels like there's not, and a lot of times in these games, there's not a great on-ramp into being good. And I think the people that succeed, it's like survivor's bias of the like, well, the strats are going to present themselves. No, to you, because you can see them. I don't see any of that. I'm seeing my own thing. I also have a tendency to see only like one specific solution to things. So it's hard for me to like build divergent ideas, like a wide spread of ideas. So we'll see. It's going fine so far. It was definitely because I did the first boss. I don't know how they Are there like, is it one of those things where there's 32 bosses, but you only like fight 3 per run, so you're always seeing a lot? Is it like there's only 5 and they mix them up? Like, I'm not really sure.
I think it's from what I remember, it's closer to that kind of situation.
Yeah, so it went pretty well. I was definitely concerned because like the first attack was something stupid, like 32 damage or something, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna block like 12 of this, like, and just eat the rest of it. But yeah, and I think it's what I like about Slay the Spire is I think it's not too. It doesn't feel as heavy on the deck building as other deck builders. I feel like other deck builders, they're like, you're basically making the deck this second, and this feels more like slowly making they're making the deck a lot more slowly in Slay the Spire. Like sometimes they give you something, and when they give you stuff, they like it'll be I know there is like at the shop you can like remove a card, and I'm sure at some point I will have to start like, oh, your deck's too big and you have to remove cards now or something like that. But like it doesn't feel too much like I feel like I have to make the decisions like really spaced out, so it's like you get more time to like spend with stuff, which is helpful. I like the relics a lot. Those are fun, fun little buffs.
Relics are really cool.
Yeah, like the potions are cool. I like they limit the amount that you can have, so it makes me use them.
Yeah.
So I like use my little potions, and I have a card that I get potions, so it's like cool. Use my potion card. Pretty much always use it if it's there because I think it's free energy. Like it doesn't cost anything. So it's like, okay, I just get one. And if I want to keep it, I keep it. And if I want to use it this fight, I use it because it's basically free. Yeah, it's not too bad. I want to start upgrading my cards more. I tend to just rest because I want full health all the time.
Yeah, you're really honing in on keeping max health.
Keeping my health, yeah. I do wish.
Fair,
well, last time I died was because I lost all my health. So now I feel like
bad news. This is how you're gonna die every time.
Who says I'm dying this time? I'm not.
You're right.
I got my Switch 2 ready to go. I think the other thing, what was I gonna say about this game? You can upgrade the cards. I kind of lost my train of thought, but like, yeah, it's going okay, and it's very like simple and chill. So we'll see how things continue. But what's your biggest fear and your biggest excitement for the rest of my playthrough, my at-home stream of Slay the Spire?
I feel like it's inevitable that, and again, similar to a Balatro, similar to all these kind of like roguelike, you're going to get really far and feel really good and then die. And I don't know if that's going to just be like, you know what? I'm done with this game. It's too hard. Like, I don't know if you'll throw in the towel or if you'll be like, no, I know I can do it. Like, I got this far. I can see the strat. I know where I messed up. Let me try again.
It depends how many times it happens. Because I will say, like, I really liked playing Balatro a lot. It's probably the most amount of hours I've put into a roguelike deck builder, which isn't saying a lot, but like, you know, I have some, I don't know if I can even see my Balatro hours on my computer easily. But I only beat it one time, and it was with heavy assistance from my colleagues. I still really liked playing it, and at the end of the day, games are about having fun. But like, okay, well, usually that's said by people that have beaten the game. I gotta be honest with you. 9.5 hours in Balatro, which is, I know people put like 1 million hours into this game, but for me, to play a game for 9.5 hours and have only beaten it once is actually like criminal and kind of embarrassing. But yeah, I don't know. It's still like, it was a fun process. So I think as long as I'm having fun with it, that'll keep me going. But yeah, like, I guess kind of lightly back to my Inscription thing. Yeah, Inscription was, I felt that way about Inscription, where I was having a really good time with it, but I'm like, well, I don't know, I can't beat it. So, and not even I can't beat it. Like, I didn't get to like 90% of the like, oh, what really makes this game exciting. It is like, but
different decks,
but like main, like no. I just mean like the fact that like, without giving it away, Inscription has like funky card game stuff of like, and obviously like very, very early in that game, like one that first like, whoa, like you can like walk around the room and like investigate the room. It kind of has this weird, and I can't even really spoil this game because I don't even know enough to spoil it. Though I did find out some stuff later where I was just like, y'all can just tell me because I am not going to get there. So I don't really care anymore about your little mystery. But yeah, it has like some funky like walking sim elements and some funky kind of almost like escape roomy vibes. Like, ooh, what's going on? But like I missed most of what people praise that game about. I haven't even seen because I'm literally on like the first like map or something. Like I just couldn't do it. But it's been a number of years, and I feel like roguelike deck builders, card games, in-game board games, like those are all like kind of a style of smart people game that like I'm better at than other smart people games, but not very good at generally. So, but it's been a lot of years, and since Inscription came out, I've played a lot more board games. I've played a lot more RPGs, turn-based games, like other video games or nerd tabletop games that have like translated the information into these games. So I feel like the real roguelike is just trying to get good at video games and coming back. So I've actually been on this run for like 6 years, and now my Slayer of the Spire is actually stronger than he was when he first entered. I don't know. So I'm cautiously optimistic about my ability to beat Slay the Spire, because I do feel like I know more about these kinds of games because I've played more of these games. But it's also tough because like I've played more, but have I actually gotten better? Because I've played a lot of hours of Smash Melee, and I'm not very good at the game. So I don't know. Any parting words of wisdom as a smart watching me play this game?
I think almost like soccer or something like that. I think there's benefit to just doing runs that are purely almost or I mean, it's not soccer, but like a blueprints kind of thing. I think there's value in doing runs just to like see what the limits of the systems are, and like making choices that you don't necessarily want in the moment, but to like learn what does this card mean, and like being able to know like, oh,
be
okay,
one with the cards.
Like this is or like in like Claire Obscure, right, where it's, you know, with again, still not doing spoiler stuff for Claire, but it's like, oh, like I'll come across a Picto and it's like, why would I ever want this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, no, I now know why this might be good in a scenario like this or something like that. Like just learning what the game is offering so that you can know what pieces to lean more into.
Yeah, and I think to sort of end it, I should probably speak a little bit more towards like what I like about the game, especially because I sound very like I'm enjoying it, but I'm mad. Like, yeah, it's like I said, it's fairly easy. Like the hardest thing I've encountered is just some of that like internalizing the language of the game. Of the I thought it was really funny. The thing you said to me yesterday about the verbs, and that you're like, this is
you like words in English and stuff. The game is just giving you verbs to play with.
That it's a word game secretly, which is really funny. Yeah, I think what I like about it is that it is simple in that it has a very like obvious flow to it, and by that I mean, in case you know, because maybe people haven't played the game, I didn't know about this until I started playing it. Is that you can see like what move the enemy is doing like next, so it'll say like, oh, they're gonna like cast some type of debuff on you. That's what their next turn's gonna be. I think the game does a really good job of being like very casually playable. I think the risk is that like I enjoy being casual, so I'm like, well, I don't really have to like think about this too much, and that's not entirely true, but it's a little true because they do surface a lot of information for you. Like when you hover over, it'll like explain what the things are. Like, without having to go into like additional menus, it's very easy to look around and see like what everything does. And they state it very like clearly in very plain language. You know, they really avoid the stuff we've complained about with other, even like Claire Obscure, right? Where it's like, these are like, you know, called just your Lumina points. It's like, we got like 8 names for like stuff that, you know, I say, okay, this is SP, this is like whatever. The game's pretty good at like using very common language. Like energy is not used for everybody, but it's a very common like term for that kind of thing. Yeah, so I like that aspect. You already know it has one of my favorite things, which is poison. I like poisoning people. I like my status effects. Yeah, and I think what I like about it is back to that, like how it presents the information, the flow of the gameplay. It does kind of funnel you towards like what you're doing per turn. So like, I feel like each turn you are either primarily blocking or primarily attacking. There's obviously going to be like variance to that, I'm guessing, as you go, or maybe like, I don't know. maybe there's a thing that's like each turn you don't attack, it builds some meter or like some BS like that. But like outside of that kind of thing, if an enemy's attacking, you're going to want to block that attack to some degree. So you'll probably be looking at your block cards. Again, maybe, I can weaken their attack, then I need to block less. There's like stuff like that. I know something that really irked you when I was playing was me not like reading everything like first and like really thinking of all the options. And just being like, well, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, you get your hand and you be like, all right, he's attacking. I'm immediately playing my block card. And it's like, you don't even know what the other 4 cards in your hand say.
I get the gist of it. But yeah, I do still stand by you all are ultimately like doing one of those two things. Sometimes you can combine them, and sometimes there's also cards that combine them where it's like, oh, well, I know I need a block and I can use this thing and it does block, but it also does damage. So I can like play this or whatever. I'm very into the cards that don't cost any energy, or the ways to like play with like, I gain extra energy so I can like, maximize like how much I can do in a turn. Yeah, I think that stuff is fun and like very like easy to see and enjoy.
Sure.
Yeah, I also think like there's good like variance in like the fight lengths. Like you're not always like fighting enemies that take forever to kill.
Sure.
Sometimes it's weaker, but there's less of them, or this guy's like not that strong, but he's got a lot of shields or something. Yeah, there's some fun variants there. But yeah, Slay the Spire maybe can be enjoyed by regular people. We'll see. I'll follow up later, but might be a for the freaks and non-freaks alike. Yeah, and I'm looking into like where I can snag a physical copy. Apparently Humble Bundle like did a print
maybe did the
of them. Maybe I can call around to some local stores and see if we luck out and they get it. It's still very specific, like a physical copy of an indie game.
Sounds like we're going to Retro Respawn.
Retro Respawn sponsor us. We never asked. I guess maybe they might be willing to. If I don't know, but I have the Retro Respawn shirt on right now, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely call them. That there are. Did you find it or something?
I do see it here.
Like on their, they have I didn't know they had a website like that.
Yeah. I see it here. They say they have it for Switch.
I'm down.
Slay the Spire. It is sealed, so it is a little more.
What? How it's like 50?
55.
A little much. Okay, what if it was open? Like just you know what?
Let's pretend like it's open.
I should get a discount for this shirt. I mean, that's what Kelsey does at Pink Gorilla. If you wear the merch there, so
we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll call around. There's a couple places we can check.
I like them. That could be fine. But
They're
yeah,
really
I don't.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't need it to be freaking sealed. I'm just gonna open it. So who gives a fuck if it's sealed or not? But yeah, you won this round, Nintendo. They're really playing the fucking 4D chess over here.
Yeah,
they're like game share
so bad,
just enough so that you like the game. You find games that you like, but you hate playing them this way, so you just buy your way out of them. Good job, Nintendo. But yeah, that's Slay the Spire.